Hey everybody, hey, good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com, and today is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that are we doing a little bit of profit taking or what? Look, I talked about this on Monday. I mentioned a lot of things, but hey, let's dig into the markets right now. Let's see what's happening. There are a few interesting things happening, so about all that and a little bit more in the webinar right now. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I think I've muted myself muted my microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, the 22nd of October 2025. Look, as always, we're going to talk markets, and we are going through some very interesting markets right now. And since Monday, when I was kind of warning you about different things, some things, yes, happened. So I hope you were on the correct side of the market. Anyway, I'll dig into all that, but before we go any further, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. In the meantime, I'm going to put my usual good morning in the chat room. Good morning, everyone. Let's see if I'm going to be the first one. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I always encourage everybody who's joining live, encourage everybody to, hey, feel free to ask questions if you have any, and if I can answer, I'll answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know the answer, but I'll come back with the answer in the next show. Look, yes, like I said, today is Wednesday. Today we're like kind of midweek, so now it's kind of gonna go everything. Well, I wouldn't say down, but no, it's like now we're getting closer to the weekend. Look, the markets. Before I talk about those, before I do that. Why is it my display capturing my OBS? Hey, then there we go. Of course, everything is shifted. Everything is just incorrect here. Okay, yeah, you get one of those. You get one of those moments here. Look, Markets.com, our website. You can check it out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. Also, just a quick reminder that you can find the webinar here, the link for the webinar. If you go into our section Learn here, click on Webinars. It'll take you to this page, and here you can register to my webinar, which is going to happen next week. And that's going to be on Bollinger Bands, because it's going to be the third episode in the series where I cover the main top indicators, which a lot of traders use. But the whole point is that I do go in with some live trades on our demo account, of course. But we want to test out the grounds first, then we can apply those in real live market action, if we are comfortable with that. So yeah, long story short, I would say, if you're interested in this, like I said, the first two webinars were great. I think they were quite a success. I think that this one will be an interesting one as well. So adjusting my camera here a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the economic calendar very, very quickly, because we had some data coming out this morning. We had the trade balance from Japan. Let's have a look. A slight improvement, a little bit, but normally, it would be great to see a positive number. But yeah, it's the exports have been damaged a little bit, as I can see here. But no, sorry, the exports were okay, in line with expectations. So the market was, expecting something closer to that number, but the imports, now that was a bigger one. Okay, so we'll see how Nikkei has reacted to that. But certainly, I think the Nikkei is more reactive right now to what's happening in the on the political side. Yeah. Anyway, so another piece of information that we got this morning was the UK's inflation number. So the core year on year came out at 3.5, and lower than the lower than the previous, lower than the forecast. So it does exclude energy and food. And in the headline one came out as exactly at 3.8 as previous. So missing, kind of coming out lower than the forecast, which in a way, it's a good thing for the FTSE. The FTSE we saw has rallied a little bit this morning. So I'll pick up on the indices in a bit as well, but certainly this is kind of giving a little bit of room here for the BOE to kind of keep maybe the trajectory of, let's say, maybe not going for a hike. That's the keeping the bank not going for a hike. So that's a good thing. I think it's a little bit too early for the bank to go for some hikes. But I think that the current this inflation set of numbers is helping exactly to do that. Anyway, I think that we saw also some remarks from Governor Bailey, and I think that he was a little bit worried about the markets and stuff. So but again, it's not an official kind of maybe phrasing wording. So we're waiting more for like a BOE an interest rate decision, and then like a press conference after that. So just kind of some to give us some more comments, because and in terms of like when the next interest rate decision will be, and that's going to be on the 6th of November, ladies and gentlemen. So but the interest rate is expected to remain the same at 4%. Well, at least for now. At least this is what we're seeing right now. Anyway, so in terms of other news today, keep your eyes on the speech. Christine Lagarde will be giving a speech, and it's like when you don't have like important data, you send out. I said this on Monday. It's like when we're missing some data, you send out an army of government central bank officials, and they start talking and maybe creating a little bit of market movement. So and apart from that, EIA crude oil stock change, that's something to keep in mind. So we can watch that one. Anyway, so jumping into the markets and Nikkei, look at this. We had a nice push higher. We did have a little bit of a retracement here, we can see, but it held nicely above this 48,000 kind of 600 zone. Look at this. I talked about this as a good barrier of resistance, which if gets broken could open the door to some higher levels, and it did. We did move to the upside. Let me just mark the current all-time high, which was reached yesterday, and that was around the 49,946 zone here. We just fell shy by reaching the psychological 50,000 zone, and this is the interesting bit. So are we actually going to tap into that, or actually are we just got ourselves a tease and now it's time for a bit of a retracement? Look, in general, right now we know that we have a new Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, and she's very much in favor of fiscal stimulus. She's very much in favor of lower rates. So, which comes kind of a bit against the BOJ tactics. So, look, I mean, we understand that they have agreed not to do anything with the rates next week. One wants to cut, the other one wants to hike. So let's meet in the middle, right? So they're not going to do anything. So we're expecting the central bank of Japan, the BOJ, not to do anything, and I think when's that? 30th. I think it's on the 30th. Yes, interest rate decision. There we go. The expectation right now, although there's none here on trading view, but actually the expectation is for a plus 0.5. The same rate to be remained. Anyway, so in a way that seems like somewhat of a good sign for the stock market here, for the Japanese stock market. However, we understand that there are some headwinds, there are some issues we're seeing right now. We're seeing right now gold kind of going a little bit to the downside. I'll talk about that. So maybe stocks could reverse lower as well, because in the U.S., I mean, we're seeing these all-time highs. We're seeing, especially on Dow. I'll talk about those as well in a bit. But is it time for maybe a little bit of profit taking? I mean, we had a great run. If we are, let's say, planning to do maybe a rally into, like a Christmas rally or something, then this would be the perfect time right now to go for a little bit of a corrective move. A little bit of a corrective move lower. Let's see. Anyway, for now, I'll take a bit of a technical approach, because I think that the whole hype with the new Japanese Prime Minister, that she's going to be in favor of cuts and stuff like that, I think the hype is kind of wearing out, and I think maybe we could see a little bit of a correction back down. However, I will consider a correction if we do drop below the 48,600 zone right here, which has been a good area of resistance and both support. So if we do clear that one, I'll consider a larger correction to the downside. But for the upside, pretty straightforward. A push above the 49,900 and kind of 46 zone here would be required. Shanghai Composite is trying to make its way back up. Maybe it's because China is trying to recover, and we're seeing that there still will be a communication moment with between the two presidents, and maybe the market is kind of picking up on that maybe there could be a solution of some sort. Look, it's political, right? I mean, everything is political. Everything is just kind of not like how it should be in general in a common peaceful world, but we're not living through that right now. We're living through a lot of volatility. Some might say we're living through a lot of opportunities. Some might say we're living through hell. Which side are you on? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But certainly, it's an interesting period that we're going through. Look, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Oh, by the way, in terms of Shanghai Composite, look, as long as we remain above the 3,888 zone here, I'm going to continue targeting the upside. And by the upside, I mean this little level of, why is my internet struggling a little bit again? Right, okay, let me just check what's happening here. This froze. Okay, apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, there we go, unfroze now. So what my next target will be is the 4,000, the psychological 4,000, 4,006 here, marked by the highest point of August of 2015, ladies and gentlemen, 2015. You can see that the all-time high was back here in 2007, then we crashed. Now we're kind of trying to make our way back up, but certainly, let me just check if this is actually going to carry any significance. Yeah, I think we've cleared this downside line. Yeah, we did that. So we're actually clearing it now. Oh, actually, it's an interesting moment. If in October right now, if we're going to stay below this downside line, which is drawn from the current highest point of this, well, of all-time high, and marking then the next, the big high, the 2015 one, we're now basically near this downside line, and we're actually clearing it. But okay, this is a very, very interesting spot. Just notice that if we do remain above this area, I will continue targeting the upside. However, if we somehow struggle by the end of this month, and we have still this week and the week after that, if we struggle below this downside line, and we struggle, let's say, to overcome it, then I will consider a move back down going into November, maybe December. So let's see what's going to happen here. But this certainly is, we are certainly at an interesting spot. Let's jump into Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm going to stick to the monthly chart for now. And look, okay, this looks positive still, right? This looks still positive, and this looks it wants to go higher. Yesterday we went for a new all-time high. We cleared the 47,049 zone, kind of 50, and we pushed above it, but we failed to stay above it. So we created a new all-time high, but we struggled to remain basically above now the previous all-time high. So this to me normally is a negative sign, but given that we are in a very interesting market right now, I would say let's be a little bit more on the careful side. There could still be some potential to the upside. However, I really don't want to rush into things. Yes, we're in the earnings season right now. We had some companies delivering their earnings. Let me just name a few. So yesterday, Tuesday, was a big day. We had Netflix. We had Netflix, and basically those guys reported a loss on the EPS. I mean, the EPS came out very much to the low side. The forecast was 6.96. They came out at 5.87. Now that's a big drop. Netflix, yep, not very good. However, yesterday it pushed higher, but maybe today it could retrace back down. Coca-Cola did fantastic job. Showed strength here. Look at this stock. I mean, this is rallying. Great earnings, and I mean, look, for Coca-Cola, of course, this is the best period. I mean, because why? Because holidays are coming. All right. I mean, as it goes in the advert. So yeah. I mean, for Coca-Cola, look, these guys are doing well. They have a strong company here. Looking at the monthly chart here, you can see that we did all-time highs back in 2024. Oh, sorry, no. Apologies. In April, in April we did all-time highs. There we go. Then we sold off massively, and now we're trying to make our way back up. Maybe we're gonna go for an all-time high. Who knows? It seemed like there is a chance, but yeah, given with the current holiday season, maybe there is a possibility for for Coke to go higher a little bit. But certainly, we would like to see a little bit of retracement in the stock market before we go higher. However, the stock market, maybe this is the point where it's going to break. You can see I'm looking at NASDAQ here, and this was a good rally here. This was a good move, but look, the 23.6, I like it here near the 24,953. I think it's a good target. It would be nice to see a retracement back here, and then maybe a pop higher. So something basically, like this. Now, look, previously I talked in my previous sessions, and on Monday last week, I also said that, hey, this looks like a possible bearish flag, but we should not rush into it because it has not finished forming yet. And the same story on the S&P 500. It looked like a bearish flag, but now look at this. We're almost kind of wiping out all the losses here that were made on the 10th of October. That's the the beautiful move here that we had, and certainly that's the tweet that we had from Mr. President, and no, not the tweet, sorry, the post on True Social, and yep, that's what brought the market down. So look, we're recovering everything already, and the question now is, can we go for an all-time high? Well, I'm looking at this right now. I want to see where we're going to open up in today. But if we do clear this barrier, the current all-time high, yes, I'm leaning towards the upside. On NASDAQ, similar story. If we just clear the current all-time high, we're not far from it. And another thing is that I have this theory which I follow, and it kind of works out most of the time, is if one or two instruments, if one or two indices, the US top 3 indices, go for an all-time high, it seems like the third one eventually catches up, and it hits eventually. So in this case, we have Dow and Dow hitting already a new all-time high. Nasdaq is very close to all-time highs, and then the S&P is a little bit on the lagging side. However, like I said, it might be the case that we could see Dow remaining somewhere at all-time highs, maybe creating a new one, Nasdaq going for a new one, and then the S&P kind of catching up. So yeah, so this is like I said, this is the interesting bit here. Now look, for now I would say this way. For now, it's this upside line that is the one that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on if I'm looking for some lower levels, and that's on the S&P 500. And anything right now, any retracement back down could up to this upside line could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. Similar story on the Dow. Actually, I don't need to. We can draw a new one. I can just recycle this one. Always recycle, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a hidden message to you all. Right. So basically, yeah, this is opening the door for a possible move further north in a way. But again, look. If Dow had already hit the new all-time high, maybe it's going to chill. Maybe it's going to stay somewhere here. Wait for some earnings to come out. And then maybe do something again. But Nasdaq is the one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Look, Tesla today is reporting. Tesla, by the way, yesterday, let's have a look at what it did. Tesla is in general. Everybody was kind of writing off Tesla, and we had the moment here in 2023, in the beginning of 2023, and at the end of 2022. Then we had a moment here at the beginning of the year 2025. We had a decline. Of course, everybody was kind of in this mode, in the hate mode, and you like him or not, the leader of Tesla. If you can like him or not. I mean, we don't know what kind of an individual he is. Maybe he's a good person. Maybe he's a bad person in terms of personal. I mean, yes, we can see him as a public figure. We judge from that, but we don't know what he is, how he is, and what he is, in his real life. So that's why I would say, and he did a very interesting thing, in my opinion. I think that's clever, although sometimes maybe it doesn't look that he is clever, but maybe intuition played a big role. He did a very good, interesting thing that he actually decided to step away from the whole Doge Department of Government Efficiency, and in general they decided to step away. He stepped away from politics. So I think that it was a good thing, because he's not a politician. Let's face it. It was fun. He had a good run, but I think he's much better as an innovator and as a maybe a business person. Actually, more of an innovator, and seeing some certain things that maybe some other people do not see. Now, again, not trying to praise him here, because again, I don't know what kind of a person he is, but what I'm trying to say is that, judging from the public image, I think that he did a right thing, and we can see that reflected in this stock price. So I think he realized that actually, his life actually revolves around Tesla and SpaceX and maybe something else, and then yeah, I mean, he should stick to that. So yeah, and we can see, like I said, that. So anyway, Tesla reporting tonight after the market close. Yep, we're going to see Tesla, IBM, who else is going to be after the close? United Rentals. Nothing major. Hilton Worldwide will be reporting as well. So yeah, mainly, like I said, is going to be the Tesla and IBM earnings in focus. Tomorrow, Thursday, T-Mobile, Blackstone, Intel. Intel is going to be, but that's after market close. Honeywell. What else? We had yesterday Lockheed, I think, Lockheed Martin. Was it yesterday? Or is it going to be? Yeah, Lockheed Martin yesterday. Was it RTX? They were reporting no. So basically, LMT. Look, the stock recovered, I think, a little bit. Yes, I mean, so we saw some numbers coming out from Lockheed Martin. Look, I mean, of course, they were of course they were profitable. I mean, look, a war is always profitable, right? So anyway, and also RTX, Raytheon Technologies. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just crazy. So from October, guess who's sponsoring everything? And there we go. We got the, we got the move here. So eventually, this will come back to an end. RTX yesterday reported. Was it yesterday or was it? Let me just double check. Yesterday RTX reported. Of course, they had a great earnings. Reported 1.7 against the estimate 1.4 on the EPS. Look, this will reverse lower at some point, but given that we know that there is one country that resumed bombing of another innocent country, then we could expect RTX actually to continue pushing a little bit more to the upside. Anyway, coming back to the indices, yes. So the S&P, I'm gonna go higher if we do push above the 6,765 territory right there. And if we do clear this upside line, then I'll consider a move lower. Look, Nasdaq again, very interesting. So we're monitoring that 25,200. Let's round it up here. 25,200. I think if we clear that, we could go a little bit higher. Let's jump into the German index DAX very quickly. We opened a little bit lower, and we had a great hold up of this near this or below this downside line, which is also the upper side of the falling channel, which we broke. I get it, but on a weekly we created fantastic false breakouts. There we go. So that's why I still have this one on the chart here. I like it. It's a falling channel. It could break out higher, but again, a confirmation breakout is needed. If we can get that breakout, wonderful. More buyers could join in. And but like I said, I'm watching the weekly very much here. It's going to be an interesting week. If we do stay above this area this week, then maybe we could see further upside. Let's jump into the FTSE 100. So this is what I was talking about this morning. We're seeing a good move higher. Of course, inflation numbers are helping out here, and we saw a nice push higher, and we are seeing still a nice push higher. So long story short, if we are looking at the upside here, then yeah, there is potential. There is potential. We broke the downside line, so now the question is what's going to happen next. The next target for me is of course the current all-time high near the 9,577. If we can, if we can actually, and we can stay above, let's say, this little hurdle right here, which has been a good area of support and resistance, somewhere around the 9,480. If we do remain above this hurdle, I'm going to go further north. Very quickly on DXY, now we're seeing a picking up moment from the dollar index here, and it's pushing higher. In a way, like I said, I kept on saying I'm not a strong supporter of the US dollar in the maybe medium term or long term, but right now in the short run, I think that it has some room for an upside, and we are seeing that right now. And I think that it does make sense. We're going into the holiday season where I mentioned this in one of my videos on our YouTube channel here, where there's that gold, silver, and DXY WTI here. Also, I talked about can DXY steal the thunder from gold. That was like 13 days ago. So I talked about this, and I said that, look, because we're going into a holiday season, and we know that the U.S. consumer is key, for the economy during this period. They need to feel that the dollar is strong, that they can afford, and everybody's going to be, maybe going abroad a little bit as well. So you need to, if your currency is on the weaker side, then yeah, you're going to complain. You're going to say that the current administration is not good and blah blah blah. So a lot of criticism, right? So, but if you boost the dollar just a little bit, okay, you get the a little bit, your exports become a little bit more expensive, but then you have to weigh in, like, which one you want to save. You already did the contracts. I think maybe even contracts got, like, you already fixed, for the prices. Maybe they arranged those before, and especially weapons, right? I mean, you're selling weapons to be used in the in where and so like that. That's why, like I said, maybe you already did the deals, and maybe it's time for to kind of help the U.S. population a little bit feel a little bit better, during this holiday season. And I think that looking at the chart here, looking at the fact that we're creating these higher lows, maybe we'll go for a higher high especially if we break this downside line. I'll stick to this idea. I said what I said before, that if we do remain somewhere above this maybe 20-day SMA or the 50-day SMA here, yeah, we could, 20-day SMA within the Bollinger Band, or the 50-day EMA within the Bollinger Band. So if we do stay above that, there is a chance for a correction back up towards this downside line, which is taken from the highest point of August. But if that gets cleared, more buyers could join in. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the currency world. Yes, AUDUSD. So, look, what I said before, and I'll say it again, that maybe, just maybe, we're forming something of a bearish flag, and we have our pole, we have our little sideways action here, so maybe it's a bearish flag. That said, I need a clearance. Either way, I need a clearance below this upside line, which is taken from the low of the 24th of April. If we can get that move, then certainly I will go lower. For the upside, I need to see a push above this downside line here, taken from the high of the 17th of September. And, then I would say that more buyers here could join in. AUDNZD, what I can say here is that looking at the picture here, we dropped below the 1.1315, and I talked about this hurdle. We said that, look, we were in a nice little range here. Yesterday we dropped lower, and now it seems like there is some opportunities for a move towards that 23.6 on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn from the current lowest point of this year to the current highest point of this year. And yep, 23.6 I think sits at a very interesting spot right now. Looking at the AUDJPY, it's an interesting level here as well. So look, we rebounded, we're pushing back up. I talked about this on Monday. I said that if we do push back above the 98.42 zone right there, I will consider a move higher. Looking at jumping in actually into EURUSD, ladies and gentlemen. So EURUSD, we had a nice retracement. I talked about this as well on Monday. I said, look, if we do fall below this 1.1645, there is a chance of a retest of this downside line, and well, we're doing exactly that. So now the question is, can we rebound? If we can rebound, then okay, great. But if we cannot, then well, I would say this way that there is a path then for the downside, and especially with the fact that I'm considering the US dollar to recover a little bit, maybe there could be some more downside on EURUSD. But again, let's be very careful. For now, yes, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside, but I'm being careful near the 100-day EMA shown as the blue line, because somehow it provides good support, provided good support. Let's jump into EUROJPY. Beautiful rebound. I love it. It's amazing, and it's working out like a charm. So now the question is, can we go back up at least towards this 177.91 zone? If we can, great. I'm going to consider some maybe further upside, but for now, I'm aiming for that. If we do drop below the 175 territory right here, I'm going to lean towards a larger correction to the downside. Euro NZD, I like this one very much, and there we go. We're breaking the subside line. We're now dropping below the 20-day SMA on the Bollinger Band here, and this is a kind of opening the door a little bit more towards lower areas. Let's see if that's going to happen. Euro GBP, I don't like this pair, but I still watch it and I still refer to it, and basically I still like it. And well, look, it's like a love and hate relationship, right? I mean, it's toxic for me and Euro GBP. We have a toxic relationship. That's what how I can describe it. I like it, but I cannot trade it, and it just has a mind of its own. So yeah, and looking at this picture here, we are in a beautiful squeeze. So it's kind of, it seems like you understand, but then it's going to do something that's going to be out of the blue. It's going to take you out, and you're going to be like. So yeah, that's why I'm staying away from it, but I'm keeping an eye on it. We're currently stuck in this little triangle pattern, so let's see which way we're gonna break out to. Let's jump into actually GBPUSD, because look, GBP is aiming lower right now. One part is the fact that there is a stronger US dollar right now at this point, but at the same time, remember the inflation numbers? Well, those came out, right? And those did not really come out higher. If they would have come out higher, then maybe we could see the pair maybe reversing higher a little bit, but they came out on the kind of the previous level side, and that's not something that the market, the bulls are loving. The GBPUSD bulls are loving right now. So we're seeing a nice decline. That's fine. I'm okay with that, because what I said to you before in the beginning of this week, I said that if we do drop and stay below the 1.34 territory, I'm leaning towards the downside. And there we go. Boom. Now I'm still leaning lower, and I want to see if we can reach this area, maybe even the 200-day EMA. Who knows? That would be an interesting option. GBPUJPY, yes, you can see that if EURUSD is if EUROJPY is still somewhat on the stronger side, GBPJPY is not really feeling the love, and we're seeing them. But again, at the same time, are we dropping below this 201.26? No. So there is still hope for the bulls, especially if we climb back above the 203.51 zone there. And then yes, I'm gonna consider maybe a little bit of a move like this. Let's jump into USDCAD, ladies and gentlemen. So USDCAD, let's have a look. Yesterday we got some Canadian numbers. Core inflation rate year on year 2.8 against the 2.6 previous. Headline inflation 2.4 against the 1.9 previous. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a big jump here. It's a big jump, and it's a jump that kind of, we can see that it strengthened the Canadian dollar for sure. So what I said to you, that if we do remain above the 1.4016, then yeah, I'm going to continue targeting the upside, and we dropped below that hurdle. So now it's kind of, we're in this little limbo area. Am I getting very bearish? I said to you previously that I'm going to get a little bit more bearish if we do drop below the 1.3932, but I think I will have to adjust this, and I would have to say that maybe if we do drop somewhere below this little territory, below the 1.3986, I know it's a close call, but at the same time we could drop below the 20-day SMA on the Bollinger Band here, and then yep, we could see maybe lower levels. So keep your eyes on this one. It's an interesting one, especially keep your eyes on the US CPIs, which are coming out on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. This is at least the forecast that we're gonna get, you know, that they're coming out. So hopefully they will come out. I don't know. Look, at the moment, yes, it's kind of like a planned thing, you know, that we're gonna be receiving the CPIs. But the thing is that I don't know, like I now I go day by day. I don't really plan too much because it's impossible nowadays. It's just like, you know, you want to plan, and you know, God laughs at you. So that's why I just kind of, hey, if I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna, great, you know, wonderful. I'll believe it when I'll see it. There we go. That's probably the best, you know, phrase to say. But if we do see higher number, higher inflation number, let's say if, on the U.S. side it comes out, where's that CPI? Let's say on the U.S. side it comes out, the headline year on year comes out above, you know, 3%, or remains at, you know, 3.1 as expected. I think that could, first of all, really strengthen the US dollar. We could see a rebound back up here. So let's see if it drops below 3. I think there is a chance for USDCAD to drift lower. USDJPY, we're rebounding right now. We're seeing a nice, good, strong move. So okay, cannot complain. But again, the same story. Watching the wanted to say the NFP on Friday. No, the CPIs on Friday. I don't know when we're gonna get the NFP, because that's another nightmare. For now we're watching the CPIs on Friday, and if those, like I said, those are in favor of the US dollar, then certainly yes, we could see USDJPY pushing a little bit more to the upside. USDCHF, I like this one. We pushed higher. We rebounded from this territory right here. Well, actually a few territories. So we stayed above the 0.79 zone in general, but we rebounded from the 0.7872 area here. And in a way, we have formed something of a higher low, which in a way could result maybe in a higher high, who knows. But let's not rush it, okay? Let's not jinx it. And for now, let's just keep an eye on the 20-day SMA within the Bollinger Band here. If we do somehow climb back above it, I'll consider a larger correction back up. Let's jump into the commodity world, ladies and gentlemen. Gold. I mean, look at the drop yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, first of all, I need to clear up this. I don't want to clear up all the lines because I have a monthly chart, which is this, and it's quite nice. I mean, look at this. I talked about these. These are the crashes. You know, these are, oh, no. Why is it? These are the crashes, and these are the moments in history when we were seeing those parabolic moves. Look at this. 1975, boom, to the upside. Then we sell off. 1980, boom, there we go. We have a crisis. U.S. is attacking. Sorry, this is the Iraq-Iran war. I mean, the U.S. is stepping in for Iraq. Then it backfires a little bit for them. But then we're seeing what we're seeing then. We're seeing here a moment. We're seeing a push, in 2011, and this was another crazy move. Then we corrected lower, and then we had these moves here as well. So these are kind of the what I'm talking about here. The 2022. I mean, look, the first one started in 2020. That's the when we saw the problem with COVID. Let me just grab this one. So, and then we retraced back down because again the mania, the buying gold mania kind of faded away. Because why? Because everybody understood, yeah, you need it's a safe haven, but it's a safe haven more before an event. And this is what I kept on saying in all my videos here. Honestly, I did a lot of videos on gold recently. So, look, I was aiming initially for the 4,300 after we crossed the 4,000. I was aiming for 4,310. We overshot that by a little bit. That's fine. We created this new all-time high near the 4,380, 81-ish. And then I was talking about this on Monday. I said, look, guys, I mean, we had a correction on Friday, a big one. Then it seemed like that one, a big one. Then we pushed higher. We failed to overcome the current all-time high. Yesterday, the same thing. We failed to overcome the current all-time high, and this was the good moment for for kind of considering a possible profit taking. Look, on Monday, like I said, I talked about it. It's time for a reset. And today's my topic is it time for a little bit of profit taking? Well, in a way, yes, I would say, and I think that gold needs a decent correction. It had a good run. Let me just measure it from the beginning of this year. I think, everybody knows that it's gonna be a crazy number. Where's that? So from around here, basically all the way to this level, 67%. Now, where we are now, around 58%. That is just, wow. We started off the year with 2,600-ish. We're now like at 4,100, right? When we were hitting the 3,000 this year, everybody was like, wow. That was already a big number. But then everybody was like, okay, 4,000 maybe? That was like a kind of a hypothesis. Even I was saying, like, is this like maybe, like this is like, okay, and there we go. We hit the 4,000. We surpassed the 4,000. So I was saying that we will surpass the 4,000 because it is a psychological level, but the market kind of works this way that everybody's expecting maybe a little bit of a reversal moment, but yeah, it didn't really happen. So long story short, for now, let's put it this way. What am I expecting here on gold? Now, because we know that there is going to be a CPI number on Friday, so if we are expecting maybe the US dollar to strengthen, maybe we could see this gold here retracing back up, maybe back to the 4,200. We're not far. I would actually prefer to see a retracement back to 4,250, 51 right here. Around here, I have my 50% on the Fibonacci retracement, just a little bit below that. It's a good, 61, just a little bit below that, but still a good area. So the 61.8 on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn from the current all-time high to today's low, then I think that could be an interesting one. This way, the pair. What's wrong with me? This way, the commodity would confirm something of a possible bearish flag. If that's the case, then yeah, we could see another decline. In general, if we do clear this upside line, we clear the 4,000 zone, yeah, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be an interesting moment. And it would be, short sellers here would be all over it. And I kept on saying, and I will continue saying that, whenever we have these parabolic moves, come on, it will have to go down eventually, and you cannot really go further and further north. So, and this is what this leads me into silver. Look at this. Silver, it's one of the, I talked about this, and look at this. I'm on the monthly chart. I mentioned this in my recent videos in the top news section when I was talking about gold. It's talking about silver here, DXY, WTI. This is a historic moment that we're going through, and we're reliving this. And basically, look, it's a moment where, eventually what comes up must come down. You look at this. Back in 1980, we rallied as well like crazy, and then we retraced at the same month. Look at this. We reversed lower, and this was just insane. This was a prolonged move lower, and at this point, is this what we're going right now through? Look, the 2011 moment here, it shows that we also rallied like crazy. We overcame the previous all-time high. We rallied, and then the next month we just kind of collapsed here. So this is what I'm saying. So maybe, just maybe, we could see a similar scenario where we rallied this month, and then next month will be somewhat of a reversal moment. But also, judging from what I'm seeing right now, and judging from this monthly candle, it seems like it wants to create something like a shooting star. And if that's the case, then it will be interesting to see, like I said, next month, because if it's going to go up again a little bit, fail to go maybe higher above maybe the $50 mark, and if it struggles with the $50 mark, honestly, I think that we are going to be seeing a nice reversal back down, because I know I'm going to make this bald call, but bald call, yeah, dad jokes. Yeah, look, I mean, it could be an interesting moment if we're judging, this by historic movement. Certainly, don't get me wrong. As we keep on saying that, previous results are not an indication of future results, right? So, but you need to be very careful. So that's why I would say, I'm not saying to go short right now. I'm just trying to say that try to find, let's say, watch some of the lines here. For example, I have this upside line, which is capturing the peaks here. And if we do somehow stay around or below this upside line, then this for me would be a little bit more of a bearish indication. So let's see what's going to happen today. Of course, we're watching this very carefully. I want to see, like I said, a bit of a higher move here, ideally, in order to shift my attention to something like this here. So if we do, like I said, if we do get a move like that, if we do get like something like this, then that would be just spectacular, to be, in my opinion. Platinum also beautiful decline. I think it's great. I think it's time for a bit of a correction. So look, this is the monthly chart. Palladium, my beloved Palladium, it did a good move here. Look at this. First of all, I did draw a Fibonacci retracement from the lowest point of August to the current highest point of October, and we already did the 38.2. So maybe we could do the 50. I don't know, but we're resting nicely here right now. Look, in general, I'm still, Palladium is one of those that I'm kind of bullish still. And I would really like to see if we can retrace back down, maybe all the way back here to 1,330, and then we'll see. Maybe there could be a good option to maybe consider this one as a longer term thing. Again, oh, I can see that my camera has frozen. Let me just. Why is this like this? Okay. Okay, there we go. My camera got frozen, so hopefully now. So like I said, I'm still considering Palladium to be an interesting investment, yeah, I think it has potential, but again, it won't happen like over a month or something like that. I think it's more of a few years thing. So yeah, let's keep an eye on this one, of course. Anyway, let's jump into copper. Actually, copper very quickly. Also seeing a nice little retracement, not a huge one, but copper is giving us something of a bullish indication, to be honest, because we are now seeing something of a maybe bullish flag. Let's see what's going to happen here near the 20-day SMA and if we can rebound from it. Cocoa froze there. Cocoa, looking at Cocoa also. Now look, Cocoa is spectacular. I have drawn this downside line connecting the support levels. Normally you would connect, if it's a downside line, you connect the peaks. But here I've drawn the kind of a support downside line, and normally it's a resistance downside line. But yeah, it's working. It's working. It's getting a nice little rebound. And well, the question is, can we see a little bit of an up move here? We had a decent decline. Look at this. These are monthly candles. We had a decent decline from like 10,000 all the way, to we just slashed kind of 40%. I mean, that was like wow. Maybe a little bit of retracement back up could be possible going into the holiday season. Hey, Christmas chocolate. Yeah. Sugar is an interesting one here as well. It's declining, but at the same time, look, I mean, it is declining, yes, but it cannot really go lower too much. At the moment we're resting near my target. By the way, my target got reached 15 0.1117 zone. I talked about it. If we clear it, yeah, I'm going to go lower. But if we struggle to clear it, then maybe there is a chance for a bit of a rebound. Now, soybeans. Okay, this is something in question, and we're seeing soybeans pushing higher, clearing the upper side here of this little triangle, which was kind of showing a little bit of a squeeze. So in a way, it's opening the doors to some higher levels. We're clearing the 200-day EMA. So in a way, there is a chance for a further move north. Looking at this picture, yep, look, again, very nice downside line. Let's see if we can break that one. Let's jump into crude oil, WTI oil. Beautiful move. Look, I'm still talking about this idea of testing this area. However, now this is something that came through to my head right now recently. Maybe this is an upside line, and this upside line, hey, maybe this is what's holding right now. It's an idea. I was aiming for this area, but look, it's never the exact level. It's always the area around that level. So, you know, maybe we have reached the goal here. However, I don't want to really speculate on this too much yet because I'm still not very bullish. Yes, we could see a retracement back up here, maybe even back to the $60 mark. Who knows? But if with this $60 mark continues to provide resistance, I'm still leaning towards the downside. So then we'll take it from there. But if we somehow rally above the $60 mark, then hey, there is a chance for a maybe larger correction to the upside. Brent oil, similar story, went lower, but this one's testing this area right now, the 62 zone, and let's see if we can stay below that. Natural gas, beautiful movement here. We came to the resistance level of this month. So basically the current highest point of this month. Let's see if we can clear that 3.58 zone. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for dessert, let's jump into the crypto world, Bitcoin. So I did a little quick little technical crypto update yesterday, so you can check it out. I talked about this. I talked about the technical picture here, and yeah, we got the move. We got the rebound, the strong rebound yesterday. Look at this, but then it failed. So what I was saying yesterday, that I'm not really on the positive side right now, too much on the positive side of the cryptos, because I think that there could still be some more downside. BTC USD here resting on the 200-day EMA, but look, if we do drop below it and then we clear the 106,500 zone, I'm leaning towards the downside, because look, what I'm seeing right now on other cryptos are for me a little bit more interesting, because look, BCH USD, interesting, very interesting. After we cleared this upside line, we're now forming one of my favorite formations. And it's basically whenever we have a major strong decline, and then we have a gradual decline, it may be in the form of a falling wedge or a falling channel, then there is an opportunity for a breakout higher. But the thing is that while we remain inside the falling channel or wedge, the trend remains to the downside. So that's why, you know, don't rush into things, because looking at Ripple here is the same thing. You can see we're in something like this. We had a big decline, but now we're having a gradual decline. We will eventually break, or actually, sorry, I'm not going to say will, but we, you know, potentially could break the upper side. However, I would say we need to wait for a confirmation break. At this point, we're observing the price action. Now, Ethereum, similar story-ish, similar story. It's a little bit of a, you know, different animal here, but certainly it is moving quite interestingly, and actually is also pointing a little bit more towards the downside. Litecoin, I like Litecoin. It's one of my favorite ones. Look at this. If we do drop below the 90.30 zone right here, I will consider a move lower. For the upside, a break of the upper side of the falling channel, great, more buyers could join in. Dogecoin. Dogecoin is also doing something similar, but I'm waiting to see what's going to happen here with the 0.1785 territory. That's my cue for the downside. I know a lot of room here still, but to be honest, I rather be safe than sorry. Polkadot, similar story, again, the same falling. You see the same patterns on a lot of cryptos. So while we remain in this pattern, I'm still leaning towards the downside like this, basically, especially if we clear and we drop below the 2.89 zone in a half zone, or yeah, 2.90 zone, probably even better. And finally, Tron. Yep, this is a different, again, animal. I like Tron. It acts a little bit more like a currency, but we're currently stuck in this little range. So unlike other cryptos, which are pointing a little bit more towards the downside, Tron actually is pointing a little bit more towards the upside. But again, it's this very strong area of resistance, so I'm not really excluding a possibility of a move off like this, and especially if we remain below the 20-day SMA and the 100-day EMA. And then we'll go from there. If we clear, if we jump above those two, then yeah, I'll consider a little bit of a larger correction back up right here. But again, we're still below this downside line, so overall short-term trend is still to the downside. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, listening. I hope you found it useful. Once again, don't forget about the little webinar that's going to happen next week. So you need to register for that one. It's a live session, so feel free to join. But I hope you found this session useful. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe. Have your stop losses in place. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. Join me on Friday for more market updates, and we'll be wrapping up the week. And yeah, we'll see. If we get some maybe more news around the CPIs, maybe more forecasts or something like that. And yeah, we'll go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and bye-bye.